up, besties? How are you doing out there today? I am so excited because my friend, lawyer, and activist Don Neufeld is here to talk to us about all things football, animals, and living in quarantine. But first, let's see what Thomas has for us. What's up, Thomas?
Thanks, boss. Today's drink is a grapefruit agave gimlet. This is an old school drink, real crowd pleaser again. And this is an actual save all your discarded rinds type of drink. Since we're in quarantine, what I did was I had my morning grapefruit, boiled egg, took my grapefruit peel and soaked my vodka in grapefruit. So let this sit for about, you can actually start this in the morning, start soaking this in the morning and be drunk by like 7 because this thing only takes about 5-6 hours to really infuse. So you're good to go. So the grapefruit agave gimlet consists of 2 ounces of grapefruit infused vodka, 1 ounce of lime juice, and 1 ounce of agave. So that's what we're gonna make. We have a light, refreshing, easy to drink cocktail sipper, grapefruit, agave, lime juice. All right, grapefruit agave gimlet. I'm gonna drink this one.
Oh my gosh, that looks delicious, Thomas. Thank you. Now I'm here to talk to my friend Don, who has a lot of things to say about the NFL, living in quarantine, and Donnie Wahlberg. What's up, Don?
What's happening?
How are you? I miss you. You look beautiful.
I know. Well, you're very sweet. We've had a lot of downtime here. So, we're usually pool more than we normally would, stuff like that. So,
well, you look gorgeous. Great. I'm very happy you're here. So, Don, I have to tell you, I am fascinated with you. I did your television show several times, which you were awesome. And that was a whole crazy sort of time because there was 4 women on that show, 5 women?
Yeah, at any given time, 4 or 5 hosts on a morning show, kind of like The View, but in Dallas. It was so much fun and so exciting, and I miss it so much. I loved the platform it gave for local businesses and charities because we really don't have anything like that around here. And then, of course, Chef, you got to come on. You're always hooking a girl up.
Well, I had to feed you.
Oh, I miss those days.
But I am fascinated with you because you are like such a, I don't even know what the word is. You're a lawyer, right?
Yes, correct.
Done television.
Yes.
You are an NFL wife.
Yeah. Yes. Former.
Well, former.
Older. Retired. We call it retired wife. So
retired. Well, I don't think a wife ever retires, especially if you deal with the NFL. So I don't even care.
I love it. I love it.
I know that you have a son with autism, correct?
It's William.
And you have a lot of animals.
5.
And to me, I don't want to make this the most important thing, but you're friends with Donnie Wahlberg, correct?
Yes. Because we had done a lot of work with Jenny McCarthy's foundation, Generation Rescue, which of course provided families dealing with autism just the most incredible information. And we got really lucky because every year they did their big conference and gala right here in Dallas, and Donnie would come and hang out. He's a boy. I know, it's just surreal. But yeah.
12-year-old me when I met him the very first time at 12 years old, I'm gonna keep it together right now. But I want to get back to that.
He's awesome. He's a really cool dude.
I know. I've sexually harassed him for the last and if I don't, if my hand's not down his pants, then it's not a new.
I get it. I totally understand.
I'm sorry. And he knows it's coming. I know it's coming. It is what it is.
I love it.
I wanted to talk to you real fast about quarantining. So where are you?
We're so tired of being in the house. It's interesting because both Ryan and I are in a situation where a lot of work we need to do, we can get done from home.
Right.
And so that aspect of us being home most of the time, it isn't bad. The kids, I was really shocked how much they actually miss in-person contact with friends. That blew me away. You know, they're on their electronics all day together. It's not enough. These kids miss their friends. So probably about 2-3 weeks ago, we hit that threshold. Now we're at the point where everyone this weekend kind of shut down.
How old are your children?
Okay, so Will's 15. He's a kiddo with autism. He is doing great. And then our daughter Bryn is 11 going on 33.
She is literally mini you. I see these pictures on Instagram. I'm like,
it's my child. Like it's so bad, Blythe. I find it hard to actually hold her accountable for her actions. Like when she gets in trouble, she's usually doing something I would have done.
I was gonna say, it's like looking at you. I know. I can't even.
I just start laughing because she is my child. But yeah, this quarantine's making her a little bit feisty. So we've had to rein her in a little bit. We're all kind of at the point where
Here's your daughter. I mean, so what is it like for your son? Is it more stressful? Is it less stressful? You said he misses his friends, but does he miss school? Like, what's that like?
He's really kind of bummed that school is out for the rest of the year, as is Bryn, but really Will. You know, kids with autism thrive off of having a plan and a schedule, and they did at school. I mean, every minute of their time is scheduled out. So this is very different for him, and we're all having to be very flexible. She's learned to be flexible with just kind of when you're going to see your friends, we let them Zoom or FaceTime. But the word flexible has been really big for Will this pandemic because he is not flexible.
No,
we're not having Whataburger tonight. Yeah, I'm not eating Whataburger. So, you know.
Okay, will you tell me, I know that like your husband was in the NFL for a while.
7 years played.
How long?
7 years. 7 years he was on teams, I should say. There were other years in between there. So.
Okay, and I feel like, because I have a lot of friends that are in the NFL, either currently or used to be, and I have seen sort of the behind the scenes a little bit. You know, but you are like fledging a full-on war with them, right? I mean, not war, but you are certainly upset about their new
collective bargaining agreement.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to hear, if you don't mind telling me.
Sure.
I am interested because I think a lot of people that come out of the NFL have injuries. It's like how people talk about people with mental illness. Like, I think that everyone suffers from mental illness of some, you know what I mean? So I feel like the NFL is the same way. I think everyone comes out with injuries. You can't put your body and your mind through that for that many years. And, you know, it's not like they started at the NFL. It's like football players start from the minute they can walk.
Yeah.
So your husband has injuries from the NFL. Is that correct?
Yes, my husband is on total and permanent disability through the NFL. He's also on Social Security, which he was awarded at the age of 36. So you can imagine being so beat up and just affected by the game that it requires you to do a heck of a lot more just to stay on top of things on a day-to-day basis. So the CBA thing has been really interesting. So normally when there's a CBA that's being negotiated, they start telling players a year out, you know, make sure you start saving money.
Yes.
We weren't getting that same kind of vibe this year. And here's how this went down for me, and I'm still mad about it. I was at a conference in Baltimore, a law conference for advocates for kids with special needs. So helping kids navigate school districts, people with disabilities, nonetheless, advocating for them.
Right.
And I start getting phone calls from other football wives saying, girl, they're voting on this new CBA. I'm like, there's no way. And so I start making some phone calls. And I'm like, holy crap, they're trying to hold a vote on this CBA. And the world, they actually voted not to pass the CBA along to players for a vote. Why? Because what they had received was a 2-page bullet point printout that the NFL wrote, not the NFLPA. It's the NFL, right, doing their own, laying things out. And I'm like, okay, well, one of the things that's most troubling about the CBA, and I thought would be a sticking point, like there's no way they're letting this one get through.
Right.
And what they've basically done is said that players like my husband, so who under the last CBA, you are able to get a Social Security designation from the government. The idea being, if the government finds you disabled enough to be disabled, the NFL can't tell you you aren't. So a lot of guys would go the Social Security route, qualify for that, then they'd qualify for their NFL disability. Not only are they trying to get rid of that altogether, even though both D. Smith, who runs the NFLPA, and Roger Goodell, wow.
No. I mean, yeah.
So it's like they're writing these things that people are supposed to vote on, and they're so bad. So they're trying to not only get rid of this Social Security designation, these players will now have their total and permanent disability award offset by what they're receiving from Social Security every month. And it may not seem like a big deal, but what will be
like a big deal.
It's enough that it's like, okay, so not only we were planning on using that money to pay for insurance next year, because everyone thinks NFL players have insurance. No, he doesn't. You know,
I thought they did too. They don't.
They get 5 years after their last credited NFL season of insurance, and it's great coverage. I tell people all the time, if you can afford it, pay for the Cobra after, because it's some of the best insurance you'll ever find. Not to mention the fact there's this thing like, while you're in the NFL, you don't really need a doctor. If your kid gets a flu or something, you just go see the team doctor. It's done. So anyways, they voted on, this was kind of the one section that really sort of came up that seemed like it would be unfair for former players. They're the only group that would have, well, that's not true necessarily. I was going to say they're the only group that would have this offset. But here's what happened. So the NFL and the NFLPA came up with all these other deals. Okay, well, we're going to guarantee this group of players a health reimbursement fund who didn't have one before. We're going to offer these new rookies who don't know no better $100,000 extra a year to play.
Which is,
and it's so you get the right people to vote.
right.
But so the first executive committee voted not to pass this through to the next committee. Next committee got it. They voted to pass it through. Blythe, here's what's crazy. So they took this vote on the first weekend that the pandemic had really, stay-at-home orders have been listed the whole 9 yards. They're asking guys to vote on this CBA that's going to affect the next 11 years of
next generation.
And so what ended up happening is some of the guys in that second executive committee who were actually finally given full access to the CBA, which is 460 pages long.
Right.
Okay. And those people are like, okay, well, wait a minute. Now that we've read the actual agreement, we don't agree with this anymore. So they actually petitioned the NFLPA to let the players vote again if they had voted early based on the actual document.
Right, not just the bullet points.
They said no. So when the CBA passed, it was about 1,000 people who voted for it. And the way they have players, it's like some people are on teams, some people, it's not everyone voting. Guys like Ryan didn't get to vote on what's going to happen in his future, but around 1,000 passed it. Around 500 didn't even vote. And the CBA only passed by 60 votes. And one of the things that's even shadier about what's going on is that apparently after they posted the CBA as had been passed by the players, there was new language in it. They had actually changed language around in the CBA. So the CBA that they gave to players and the CBA and voted on is different than the CBA the NFLPA and NFL had listed on their websites. Dirty.
How does your husband feel about this? I know you're the fire to blood in that house, but how does he feel about it?
He kind of just goes with the flow anyways. Ryan, he's kind of mellow, laid back. I think where this kind of gets guys, and I'm telling you, there's just so much to this story that if there were time to get it out there, we had peace of mind finally. We were finally at a point where bills are getting paid. That's taken care of. He's going to the doctor. Like, we had everything checked out, and you can kind of just breathe for a second. Yeah. Well, what this did was really take away that peace of mind, because you're going to be subject to medical examinations over and over and over again. They will try to take away benefits. That's what they do. So this was their way of figuring out there were too many people on benefits, and that needed to stop. And what's even more frustrating is the NFLPA that is actually charged with making sure they're advocating for former players. Just hands down, they weren't fighting this battle. They're like, well, we had to give up something. Okay, so people have done the math. And so for the NFL, this would come out to about $12 million a team to keep this benefit in,
which is nothing.
It's $11 billion a year industry.
Nothing.
So it's literally when, Kraft's in his plane to go get masks and PPE for the doctors and nurses. I'm like, all right, but what about the disabled players whose benefits you're cutting?
Yeah.
And it's just really frustrating. I had helped the NFLPA before on a bill that was going out in California. It was completely unfair. They were changing terms of how players could file for Workingmans Comp. And there was so much bad information, but I have on my computer to this day an email from D. Smith thanking me for my advocacy work and that he agreed with me. I could show you that same letter today and say, this is why I spoke out. Because the way I felt back then about what you guys were doing with AB 1309 is how I feel they're acting now. And it's egregious. It's unbelievable. Blythe, there are people who have an actual letter from the NFLPA that basically lays out what their income is, right? Because they want to go maybe buy a home or something of that nature. So you get these income verification letters from the NFLPA that said this person is receiving this benefit and it's for life. So now these people have gone out, used these verification letters to get mortgages on homes just to find out they're going to lose about $2,000 a month per and that's a mortgage payment. It's a mortgage payment. So it's been frustrating. I don't think the fight's over yet. There are a couple different things out there that are moving.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yes. So there are a couple players who've gotten legal representation. I know Mark Garagos is the attorney in one of the cases.
Oh, Lord.
They actually went through the 460-page document, and they are the ones that found out that the terms were different in the two documents.
Is Mark representing players, or is he representing...
Mark Garagos is he's been hired to represent Eric Reed.
Yep.
Eric Reed, you may remember, was the only other player in San Francisco that would kneel with Colin Kaepernick. So he's kind of been sort of like, he's had his name out there anyways, and he's been very vocal about this CBA being unfair to former players.
Wow. I think that's, you really lifted the curtain, because I think that people, think that every NFL player is rich, right? I think.
Right.
And that they see them on TV or they think they're wealthy. And that's just not the case. And now it's like these guys give their whole lives to this.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to ask you a question about this. You have children and former NFL player in your home. I've just read now that they are going to start airing they're going to start airing football games on Nickelodeon. Have you heard this?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So this season, whenever it shall air, they want to start playing these games on Nickelodeon. Now, I know personally from inside the NFL that they went after Victoria's Secret. They teamed up with Victoria's Secret so that women would be into football, right? Mm-hmm. So they see their kids playing, and they would let that happen. Now they're putting NFL on Nickelodeon. That's the plan. Does that bother you at all? Because it bothers me a lot. And I know moms out there, like, would you let your son play football?
So here's an interesting thing. Like, if you were to ask my husband right now if he would do it all over again, he would tell you yes. And what's becoming really interesting that we're seeing in our friends will say that too, but they don't let their kids play. Or if their kids play, they start them off a little bit later. They'll focus on other sports like basketball, track, other things to find the skills that their kiddos can use on the field when it's time to play football. But I still think the football minimum age is too low. Kids who are 7 years old should not be playing full tackle football. They're just too young. It's just irresponsible to me at this point, especially with the data we have regarding what the sport does to brain injuries. It's troubling. You'd hope they'd keep it on channels where families were really paying attention together, because some bad things and scary things happen out on the field.
I think it's very troubling, and I feel like it's propaganda for because kids aren't getting into it anymore. They're not. Right. Not. The
numbers are so Pop Warner numbers have consistently decreased since all of this CTE evidence started coming out.
And I know that's why they went after the Victoria's Secret thing, because they wanted women to say, oh, okay, my kids can do this. But I just want to know your opinion on that side.
Well, you got to look at it too. I mean, smart marketing on their part. For as long as I can remember, the NFL's viewership has been about 50% women. So you've got these women watching the game who understand it, who know what's going on. Yeah. Those are the same women who'll be able to figure out what they're doing with this whole Nickelodeon thing. Like, I don't even doubt that whatsoever, because they know.
Of course they do. Mm-hmm. Not to change subjects, but there is a rumor going around, and I just want to know if you can confirm or deny that you were asked to be on Real Housewives of Dallas and you turned it down.
I have never been asked to be on the Real Housewives of Dallas. I have never turned it down.
Okay, because I heard that and I was like, that's my
rumors. Yeah, no, I've not been asked.
It's Dallas, baby. There's always rumors. But I mean, I think that you would crush it, right? They could use some of your fire and sass, and I would be here for it completely.
They need something. There's so much more depth to Dallas, and it's too bad they're not really able to capture that. But look, having done a reality show, I did Football Wives on VH1 back in 2010, and there's a place for it. And I just don't see how couples stay married now. And a lot of them don't.
No, I was about to say, I don't think they do.
Yeah. So if that's one of the major risk factors for me, then I'm taking a long, hard look at that before I sign up.
I agree. I agree. You're absolutely right. I love that. How's the cat?
Oh, my Winston. He's around here somewhere. So Winston, our cat, we've had for 14 years. He's 13, 14 years old, we think. And noticed a growth on his leg a couple weeks ago, and he had surgery last week to remove it. So now we're just waiting on pathology. But he's like, the reason why this is a big deal is Winston is like my dog cat.
I saw that.
Cat that will come and, cuddle. He will caress your arms. Yeah. Like, are you okay? He's my dog cat. He wants to be around and everything. And so.
Well, I don't know if you know that
right now,
but we got adopted by a cat mother. We came home on Easter from being at my mom's house, and she was literally giving birth like at our gate.
Oh my gosh.
On it. And so we have her, and I don't even know. We have 5 babies. So if you need another,
super cute.
We love them.
Super cute. I actually, when we got the smallest dog that took us from 4 to 5 animals, I had to promise that I would not bring any more fur babies.
I fear my husband will divorce me shortly.
Like Ryan he will absolutely divorce me if I bring another pet into this house.
Okay, but if he divorces you, would you go to Donnie Wahlberg? That's really what's important.
I could call him and be like, did you hear the news?
I would just call him just to hear that washboard abs. Okay, so here we played 3 questions. Will you play 3 questions with me?
Oh God, I'm scared. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, what is your favorite thing to cook for your family?
I have this old school, we used to just call it meat over noodles back in the day. You cut up some good steak, mix it in some cream of mushroom, season it up a little bit, pour it over some egg noodles, done.
I'm here for all of that. I love all of that.
Yes, yum, yum.
What is the one thing that your family will not eat no matter how hard you try? No matter what you do, is there anything your family will not eat?
It's yes. So I make these meringue cookies. So my other grandmother had a recipe for meringues, and I think they're just like the greatest thing ever. I'll whip up a batch like it's no big deal. They'll only eat the batter before it cooks. They don't like the way it tastes afterwards. So
I love that, and that is hilarious.
Yep.
Okay, and one final question. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're an attorney, you're a television star, best friends with Donnie Wahlberg, whatever. What is the first thing you're going to do for you once this is over?
You know, I'm really looking forward to one of my favorite pastimes, which is going to movies. I'm a movie fiend. On any given week, I might see 1 or 2 movies. I just love film. Cool. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. We've got a theater that opened up right around the corner from our house, and God willing, it'll still be there when all this is over.
I lied to you. I have one more question because I saw it on your Instagram or Twitter. Did people protest in your neighborhood last night or in your city?
Yes. Look.
They are protesting the lockdown?
So Frisco, Texas, which is one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
No, I'm looking to build a restaurant up there.
The Cowboys decided to move here. So, they've got their facility and everything. There was this freedom rally yesterday down by our library. And what cracked me up, we don't protest anything in Frisco. Nothing. Wow. Nothing. We have a couple of community events. There's, Christmas in the Square, and there's a festival. Nobody ever protests here. And so for that to be the image that people are going to get of Frisco across the country, that they're standing up for their rights, I think has done us all a disservice. And I really hope that people stay safe. It's bizarre to me that people are still treating this like it's not that big a deal.
I have my mom like bubble wrapped at her house and aggravated because she wants to get out. And I'm like, Mom, you just don't get this.
We all do, but it takes that 1 second, and you just don't know how it's going to affect you, which is the scary thing about it. So.
I love you. I love your face. I love your social media. I love everything about you. I love your family.
Food.
I know. I miss that. That's for me the hard. I miss my guests. I miss my staff. I miss very hard. But I love you, and I'm very grateful for you joining us. Please let D-Dub let Donnie know.
I'll keep it.
There's a moment, I don't know there's a moment where he comes down like off stage and he looks to Nathan and he said, "Thanks for bringing her to me, man." And they high five. And I think that was the moment when my husband and my very first love ever reunited. I mean,
that was it. You were dead. You're like, I'm out.
Send my love to Ryan and the kids, and I will talk.
I will, and you hang in there. I'll come see those kittens as soon as they let us out the house.
I will. You take care. I love you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.